operation in U.S. history plays out.
And I had the chance to sit down with former Minneapolis Police Chief Janae Harteau to talk about policing, law enforcement relationships.
Why would a convoy carrying tons of contraband dare to cross American territory in broad daylight? At exactly 11:12 a.m. on July 12, 2025, under the blistering heat of the Arizona desert, a convoy of 19 armored vehicles thundered toward the border. Inside their reinforced compartments were more than 7.2 tons of contraband, a shipment valued at over $420 million, powerful enough to devastate millions of lives. Escorted by more than 80 heavily armed gunmen, this was not a covert operation, but a brazen show of force, a direct challenge to the United States. What the cartel believed was a safe route had already been exposed every mile, mapped every movement tracked from the air, and every exit quietly sealed on the ground. For 7 days, America's most elite units lay in wait among cliffs and dust until the trap finally closed, only to nearly collapse from a single mistake, a flash of suspicion that threatened to unravel everything. What followed turned a silent canyon into a battlefield and left behind numbers so staggering they shocked even seasoned operatives. That envelope seemed to have opened up a massive corruption investigation, one that could spread into courtrooms, police departments, and even cartel networks spanning 7 states. According to some online sources, the internet community rumors that this very envelope changed everything. But who knows what was really inside, right? Maybe a clue or just a coincidence. I think the name on the envelope led investigators to a desk under the fluorescent lights of a Georgia courthouse where a woman had been working quietly for years. She was just a background employee handling schedules, arrest logs, and moving files between rooms. Ordinary work unnoticed by anyone. Yet that envelope told a different story. When the FBI began to look discreetly, they seemed to discover a digital trail leading to places no court employee should be involved with. They requested access to the internal case management system, not public records, but hidden logs, backups, and metadata. Within hours, red flags appeared. Dozens of case files were missing the final page with unusual edit times right before convictions were overturned or bail was approved. One file was saved under 3 different names, but all The files most prone to missing data seem to all relate to heavy drug trafficking cases and complex interstate transport. On the surface, it looked random, but deeper down, they were connected by timing methods and approval signatures. FBI analysts began comparing files with the activity logs of individual user accounts, and one account kept repeating belonging to the very court clerk named on the envelope. It looks bold on the surface, but it's the kind of boldness that usually signals overconfidence born from past success, not strategic genius. Convoys like this move in daylight to project inevitability, overwhelm, with scale, intimidate witnesses, and bet that no one wants a public confrontation. That works until it doesn't. Here, the very traits meant to signal power-tight formation, predictable speed, heavy loads, constant radio chatter made the convoy easier to map, track, and trap. From a tactical standpoint, it wasn't daring so much as reckless mistaking momentum for invisibility and confusing proximity to the border with safety. When an operation relies on arrogance rather than uncertainty, it's already halfway to failure. Then the scale got bigger. Through financial checks, they discovered 4 court employees, including 2 clerks, a security officer, and a deputy bailiff, received undeclared deposits from companies registered in Delaware and the Virgin Islands. The amounts range from $8,000 to $37,000 each time, usually right after a case was closed or a shipment approved. No one declared extra employment. What linked them seemed to be the timing. One Friday in March, one person received a Q1 retention fee transfer just 12 hours after signing an order to release a trailer containing sealed drug evidence. That trailer was later reported lost GPS disabled during transport. No accident report was filed. It was only recorded as a shipping delay. The same day, the employee who signed the route logged out of the system at 3:12 a.m., 3 hours after their shift. As events accumulated, the FBI mapping team drew a timeline on the wall. Colors marked every suspicious case payment and document change. By the third week, a shape emerged. The network operated in a coordinated cycle judge's office clerk transport personnel off-site storage point. Each cycle lasted 2 to 3 weeks, ending with a closed case or missing assets. It wasn't messy corruption, it seemed to be a closed-loop system operating under the cover of the public court. A worrying discovery came from a forgotten storage room under the south wing of the building. The room was used to store sealed evidence and old files, but upon inspection they found 6 boxes labeled Destroy Evidence Q that had never been reported as received. Inside bags of sealed drugs, bundles of cache hard drives, some matched evidence logs lost in a neighboring county. Others were unlabeled. Access Evidence chain of custody had disappeared or was recorded incompletely. A file listed a defendant as being in custody, but cameras proved he was never brought in. At this point, Homeland Security and ICEE joined to track money flows across state and national borders. They seemed to uncover shell companies moving money through small investment funds, land trusts, and consulting groups. Money flowed from the Caribbean to Florida, Texas, then out to personal accounts linked to court staff and local police. One shell company bought a commercial warehouse near the Savannah port. Another bought land in Illinois with cold storage. No suspect names were listed, but electricity activity spiked on nights when trailers were recorded transporting sealed items in court logs. Both locations were later found to have delivery coordinates, drawings, footage of men in tactical vests, and checklists printed in Spanish and English. It wasn't just moving drugs, it seemed to be building a parallel system where a court authority could be bought documents rewritten and assets diverted without anyone knowing. Some investigators still hoped this was an isolated case, but that faith was shattered when they found a hand-drawn map behind an old court ledger routes from Georgia to New York, Texas down to Miami. Red stars marked drop points, blue lines followed cycles. A note underneath read, "Reset in 12 days." An internal memo made everyone pause. If it's happening in one court, how many other courts are compromised? The chilling question opened the door to a new level of investigation beyond Georgia, beyond the envelope into the possibility of a national network hidden behind legal papers. Now the FBI linked a court assistant to a New Jersey immigration. There was internal debate: arrest now or wait to identify more nodes. Some worried arresting early would make suspects disappear. Others feared waiting too long would lead to evidence deletion. Finally, they decided to act quietly. Agencies planned the most complex multi-state raid in recent times. Locations identified, search warrants. Before the raid, federal officials held a closed meeting to review floor plans, deployment zones, digital access points, and potential resistance. From a Georgia traffic stop, it turned into a coordinated 7-state assault. Not the end of a case, but the beginning of a purge. Are you shocked that this happened right inside a U.S. courthouse? Do you think a deeper network is still hidden in other states? According Names appeared one after another from court files, patrol lists quietly updated retirement lists. 21 people directly related to law enforcement or the judiciary are now suspects in a federal case. Different roles, but the purpose seemed the same: helping drugs move through the U.S. undetected, not avoiding the law, but becoming part of the law. In the group were 14 certified officers. Some still wore uniforms. Others had quit months ago, moving to private security or consulting. All once carried badges. Some still do. But according to federal investigators, they worked for a cartel operating federally deep within the American legal system. The two most prominent names are two incumbent sheriffs, Milton Gaston of Washington County and Bruce Williams of Humphreys County. Both elected. Both swore to The investigation tracked them through surveillance, financials, and wiretaps. Sheriff Gaston approved special escorts for evidence transport, but the vehicle never arrived at the depot. Instead, it diverted to a small road later found empty. Sheriff Williams issued temporary passes to out-of-state contractors not listed in court records, but footage showed them entering sealed areas. Deeper is a terrifying picture. Not minor violations, but coordinated actions ensuring the safety of cartel shipments disguised as law enforcement operations. At least 9 times officers provided armed escort directly for vehicles carrying cash, drugs, or both. The convoy used marked cars' sirens active, taking official routes to avoid suspicion. Officers went ahead to clear intersections using coded language over secure channels. Their presence made regular patrols hesitant to intervene because it looked authorized. Body cam data from an unrelated traffic stop showed a drug vehicle passing by with 2 patrol cars in front. The filming officer had no reason to stop them. On paper, it was just internal transport. Several officers were involved in forged search warrant paperwork. 3 warrants were found, altered after judge approval, deleted addresses, changed evidence descriptions, added new reasons not in the original. These changes allowed cartel members to move through checkpoints without legal conflict. A Texas submission form was later reused in Georgia, signed by an officer who was on leave at the time of signing. The badge number was reused the next month for another case. Courtroom security footage showed an officer swapping evidence bags after hours. Bags were relabeled, resealed with a fake chain of custody recorded. When tracing the original material, they found it replaced with a similar substance or filler added to match the weight. Surveillance in 2 states showed off-duty patrol cars parked outside warehouses previously marked for suspicious activity. A spot in New Jersey was tracked after a chemical shipment alerted the port. The next month, 2 indicted officers were seen leaving the building holding a sealed container. No search warrant for that trip. Clearly, they didn't act randomly. They were part of a system. Patrol logs from 3 counties showed overlapping schedules, shift swaps, and coordinated days off. A sergeant appeared in Georgia, Florida, and New York within 10 days. No travel declared, personal vehicle not tracked, but financials revealed payments for hotels' gas and encrypted phone rentals consistent with secret coordination. The FBI later discovered GPS data from department-issued radios. Movement patterns matched cartel routes. Routes through multiple cities at predictable intervals, always coinciding with evidence room updates, case closures, or sudden court postponements. Not only helping they seem to run a parallel logistics branch within the government structure, a warehouse used for repackaging was guarded by a private contractor using expired law enforcement certification. Clearance approved via fake documents through the regional sheriff's office. Locks bought with government funds, surveillance cameras disabled with internal codes. When the FBI raided, they found court files stacked next to drug packaging materials. Each folder stamped by the court, but not in the digital archives. Perhaps the most shocking detail came from witness testimony. An officer, when arrested, told federal investigators they were assured everything was legal. "We were told the judge approved it." That sentence shook the investigation team. Although there is no direct evidence against sitting judges, yet it implies new questions about the extent of the network. For the gang, the canyon had promised a path to profit. Instead, it delivered catastrophic defeat. For America, this was more than a tactical victory. It was a statement no matter how bold or reckless anyone who crossed the line would face overwhelming force. As the midday sun scorched the smoldering wreckage, the message was unmistakable. America doesn't just respond. America dominates. What makes this case different is not just the volume of drugs or the number of arrests, it is the realization that for years some people entrusted with enforcing the law actively undermined it. They weren't bribed from the outside, they were part of the infrastructure. They escorted, forged, deleted, and protected the very criminals they claimed to fight against. It asks the question many are asking: how many officers are involved but not yet named? How many courtrooms across the country are The brief moment of near disaster when a faulty detonator circuit and rising suspicion among the convoy threatened to unravel the plan only underscored the significance of the operation. Even as perfection wavered, American forces adapted within seconds, a stark demonstration of why they are the world's most elite and disciplined warriors. The final numbers tell an undeniable story. 53 gang gunmen neutralized, 27 captured alive, 19 vehicles disabled, and over 7.2 tons of contraband seized. Not a single American life was lost. The capture of key leaders and the destruction of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of goods struck a devastating blow to the gang network. In less than 30 minutes, their belief in invincibility at the border was shattered forever. For America, it was proof that true strength lies not in haste, but in patience, in waiting for the perfect moment and striking with precision and speed so overwhelming that the enemy has no time to react. This ambush will be studied in tactical manuals for years to come, a masterclass in intelligence, coordination, and overwhelming force. The ambush on July 12, 2025 in the Arizona desert delivers a clear lesson in the power of preparation and discipline. The drug cartel, fueled by arrogance and recklessness, was crushed by a meticulously calculated plan that fused precise intelligence, flawless coordination, and overwhelming American firepower. Even when a technical glitch nearly threatened the operation, calm, rapid adaptability ensured victory. The takeaway is unmistakable. Nothing substitutes for thorough preparation and the ability to remain focused under pressure. The cartel's recklessness became their undoing. Charging blindly into the Arizona desert, they grossly underestimated the precision and power of a flawlessly executed American ambush. This operation was a masterclass in strategy, turning a near failure into a decisive victory through discipline and rapid adaptability. It stands as a stark warning: cross America's line and you will face unrelenting consequences. What's your take on this audacious cartel misstep and the flawless U.S. response? Like, share, and subscribe for more gripping stories.